Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to day 7 of Srimad-Bhagavatam Katha. So, today will be a continuation of the session on verse 1.1.1, and this will be the fourth session by Prabhuji on the same verse. So, in the last session, Prabhuji explained in detail the verse Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Suryaha. So, in explaining the verse, he talked about some of the important points like with the importance of cultivating the transcendental knowledge referred to in the Tene Brahma, and one should be really serious for the same. As Nitya Baddha Jivas, one is bound to the material creation, and we keep coming back to the material realms to fulfill our desires, our material desires. So, an intelligent person should cultivate transcendental desires which will transport the jivas back to the Vaikuntha lokas. And Prabhuji mentioned that we should be trying to acquire, because we have the good fortune to attain the human form, which is extremely rare in the 4.84 million species. One should really try to cultivate this transcendental knowledge. And one of the important points that Prabhuji mentioned was that the transcendental knowledge must come in the disciplic succession as it is, as Brahmaji received the knowledge from Sri Krishna. So, in regards to this, Prabhuji mentioned about the four bona fide Vaishnava Sampradayas, which is the Sri Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, and the I think the Nimbarka Sampradaya. And ISKCON belongs to the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, directly in the disciplic chain And also Prabhuji mentioned about that one needs to be always humble and never try to think that one is bereft of the illusion. So the Muhyanti in the verse which refers to illusion, and one of the greatest illusion is that one is the body and not the spirit soul. So even great sages and demigods are bewildered due to this illusion. So we should always be humble and never try to think that we are bereft of this illusion. Related to this, Prabhuji gave us the examples of Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra, and how they were also bewildered, and he mentioned a few events for the same. So this was a brief summary of what Prabhuji discussed in the last session. So before we proceed with the next session, just a few, some announcements of some of the events of spiritual significance which are going to happen soon. So the first being the Purushottam Mas or the Adhika Mas, which is an extra month in the Vedic calendar after this month of Ashwin. So it will be from 18th September, so this Friday, to the 16th October 2020. So it's a very special month that arrives after every 32.5 months, and it's a very auspicious month to gain spiritual progress. And also today is Indira Ekadashi, so wishing all of you a happy Indira Ekadashi as well. And so with this, we'll request Prabhuji to commence today's session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे राधे जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे राधे जय राधा रमण राधा रमण राधे राधे जय राधा गोकुलानंद राधा गोकुलानंद राधे राधे जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे राधे जय प्रभुपादा श्रीला प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा श्रीला प्रभुपादा प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव संसार दावा नललीढलोका त्रणाय कारुण्य घना घनात्वां प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणार्णवास्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं यस्या प्रसादात् भगवत् प्रसादो यस्य अप्रसादान्न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायन्स्तुवांस्तस्य यस्य स्त्रीसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। आराध्यो भगवान व्रजेश तनयस तद्धाम वृंदावनम रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधुवर्गेण तया कल्पिता श्रीमद् भागवत पुराणयमलं प्रेम पुमार्थो महान् श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभो मतैदं नायत्रयाग्रह परः शृण्वन्ता स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनम् हृदि अन्तस्थ भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी निगमकल्पतरुगलितं फलं मुखाद्रवमृतसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिक भुवि भावुका नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयोदीरयेत् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यस्तवै वेदे साङ्गो पदकृपमनुपनिषदै गायन्ति यं सामगाता येनावस्थित तद्मध्ये गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्या विदुर्नसुरासुरगणा तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः नमस्तुते व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दाय यतपत्रनेत्र तेजेना त्वया भारत कैलपूर्ण प्रज्वालित मया प्रदीप व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो देवै ब्रह्मण्ये विदये वसिष्ठाय नमो नमः ॐ जन्मादियस्य यतोऽन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदयादि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरया धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि सत्यं परं धीमहि सत्यं परं धीमहि Hare Krishna. My hundreds and hundreds and thousands of obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My thousands and thousands of obeisances unto the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya Acharya Guruvar, and my thousands and thousands of obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas. Please accept my humble obeisances. May the words that emanate from my mouth be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, to our Gaudiya Acharyas, to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and to Nityananda Prabhu, the Adi Guru. So, we are continuing our discussion of the very first verse of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Asim Kar Prabhu nicely briefed in the opening statement about some of the things that we discussed in our last Sunday session. And just to quickly recap, this first verse, Janmadi Yasya, is also the essence of the Vedanta Sutra. It is also a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. The Srimad-Bhagavatam is the ripened commentary of the Vedanta Sutra, the conclusion of all the Vedas. And especially this first verse is a explanation, or it expounds the Gayatri Mantra. We explained in the last last four sessions rather, about how everything emanates from Sri Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Golok Vrindavan. And it is through him, directly and indirectly, all the material worlds and the spiritual worlds, they manifest. And this manifestations happen through his different expansions, including his very first expansion, Balram Prabhu, who himself is non-different from Sri Krishna, who is actually his Swarupa, and he actually is the one who expands himself into the different Chaturvyus that happen in all the other Vaikuntha planets, including Mathura and Dwarka, as the the two Chaturvyus, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And from the second Sankarshan or the Mahasankarshan appears the expansions of all the different Vishnu Tattvas, including Lord Narayanas and different avatars, and the Guna avatars and the Leela avatars, etc., and the Shaktavish avatars. And also, we find that from that Mahasankarshan or Mool Sankarshan, the expansion of Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksai Vishnu, and also the expansion of Sirodaksai Vishnu, known as Paramatma, takes place. We also went into many other details in this just these two words of Janmadi Yasya, which is found in the very first session of this first verse. And of course, I believe you all have the recordings also. Also, we discussed that Janmadhyasya yato anvayat itaratascha artheshva abhigya swarat. Krishna is supremely independent. He's not dependent on anybody. He's not. We are all dependent on Maya, but he is not dependent on Maya, and all other avatars are dependent on him. He is not dependent on anybody else. He is the Vastu, and he is the Vishay. He is the Vishay Ashraya, and we are the Ashrita. Ashrita means one who takes shelter of the Vishaya or the subject of shelter. And the Purna Purushottam Krishna, Nanda Nandan, Vrajendra Nandan, Gopinath Krishna, the Gopijana Vallabha Krishna, the Radha Raman Krishna, etc., the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is exactly 15 years and 9 months old, who is situated in Golok Vrindavan, is the source of all, Sarva Karana Karanam. And of course, his immediate other expansion on his left side, Srimati Radharani, who is his Haladini Shakti, is indeed the inspiration even to Nanda Nandan. So Janmadi Yasya Yato Anvayat Itaratasta Artheshwa Abhigya Swarat, complete into Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yatsuraya. We also discussed in the third session about Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, how Krishna, the Nanda Nandan, how this particular Brahma is so fortunate to directly receive initiation or Diksha from Krishna through the Kam Gayatri mantra. We explained that the common Kam Gayatri the common Gayatri that everybody knows about, the Om Bhur Bhuvasva Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Actually, this Gayatri mantra is not supposed to be spoken in public, but this is such a common Gayatri mantra that people have made it pretty cheap, and they have actually everybody even unauthorizedly chants this Gayatri mantra. But it is not so. But since a lot of people take it very cheaply, it becomes my onus to mention that it is not cheap. This Gayatri mantra itself, as the Janmadi Yasya Shloka, is an explanation of this Gayatri mantra, where most people think that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas have very nicely explained the deeper meaning of this Gayatri mantra, where Savitu, that when we chant the word Savita in this Gayatri mantra, Om Bhur Bhuvasva Tat Savitu Varenyam. Savitu, I pray, I offer my prayers to the sun god or to the sun. That sun is explained as the origin of all, which is Sri Krishna Nanda Nandan. So that Savitu means Sri Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. And Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi means we meditate upon Bhargo, the transcendental energy of Sri Krishna, Radharani, his Haladini Shakti. So these are some of the finer nuances of and very deep explanations of the Gayatri. And this Kam Gayatri also, which is known as the Gopal Kama Mantra Gayatri, which was given to Brahmaji by Sri Krishna when he was asked to meditate in the beginning of creation, when there was nothing around him. And Sri Krishna, when Brahmaji surrendered to him, when he was surrendered. So the point here is also the point we have to learn how to surrender to Krishna, and that is done through a bona fide guru or through somebody who is guiding us as a Siksha Guru. So that the importance of the parampara has been highlighted here when it is mentioned in this very first verse, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So this Brahma means Brahma Gyan, spiritual knowledge. And this Brahmaji was so fortunate, the Adi Kavi. He is known as Adi Kavi because he is the poet, the first Vaishnava. And because he is the first Vaishnava, Vaishnavas have 64 super and excellent qualities. The topmost Vaishnavas are actually none other than the associates of Srimati Radharani. And and especially our Gaudiya Gurus, our Manjaris, who are the servitors of Sri Radha. They are the the Prana Sakhis of Radharani. So they also possess those super excellent qualities. But some of the other Vaishnavas, even in the other Vaishnava Sampradayas, including great devotees like Lord Brahma, also possess, by the mercy of Sri Krishna, some of these excellent qualities. And one of those excellent qualities, or a few of them, is actually eulogizing or composing wonderful choice verses. So this Lord Brahma composed the Brahma Samhita, and this Brahma Samhita is again a wonderful commentary, or also on the Kam Gayatri mantra, and also the description of the spiritual world as given to him directly by Krishna through the Kam Gayatri mantra, through the Gopal Gayatri mantra. So we also explained that those who have been initiated through the Daivi Varnashram system that was originally set up by Prabhupada's Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, who actually outlined this wonderfully. And A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada followed in his footsteps and brought his desires and his vision to fruition by giving the Gayatri mantra to qualified persons. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Janmana Jayate Shudra Sanskarat Bhavati Dvija. It is not by Janma, it is by karma. Janmana Jayate Shudra. Krishna says that by birth everybody is a Shudra. Shudra means, in simple translation from Sanskrit, the word Shudra into English would be somebody who is in the mode of ignorance, somebody who does not know anything, neither material or spiritual things, is known as Shudra. So we are all born Shudra. Janmana Jayate Shudra. By birth we are Shudra, because even our ABCs and our words have to be taught by our parents or our well-wishers. Right from the word ka, kha, ga, or ABC, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Regardless of what our status was in our past lives, we may have been doctorates or we have been PhDs. But in this birth, as soon as we take birth, Janmana Jayate Shudra. Hare Krishna. Sanskarat Bhavati Dvija. And by the grace of Guru and Gauranga, the sanskaras or the diksha happens. Or the commonly in the Sanatan Dharma, the janoi or the Brahminical thread is imparted. So it is not that the Brahminical thread is only imparted to persons who are born of Brahmin fathers or mothers. No, that is not what Krishna says. We have to listen to what Krishna says, because the Shastras says that the word of God is dharmantu sakshat bhagvat pranita, not the words of some materially inflicted persons who may be famous or who may have some stature in society, but it is the words of Guru, Sadhu, and Krishna that are important. So Krishna says very clearly, there is no doubt, a lot of these people manipulate the so-called Brahmins who are born in Brahmin families just because they want to get the self-aggrandizement. They feel so proud that we are born in a Brahmin, but their activities are like Shudras. In today's world, Prabhupada said all are Shudras. Even though one may be born in a Brahminical or so-called Kshatriya family or even a Vaishya family, we are all Shudras, because if you see, the Varnashram system that Krishna had developed has been completely destroyed. Today, everybody is working like Shudras. Now, minimum 9 to 5 jobs they are working. Even a Brahmin born person is going on the bus and train, spending 2 hours one way, 4 hours a day commuting, and simply, for a few rupees or dollars, they are working as subordinates to the persons who are the most unqualified people. So it is so true. This is Prabhupada's statement. So we are all Shudras. Just our Malik or our master is money, is dollar, it is rupees, it is euros, it is pounds. And anybody who gives us that is our master. But in the previous times, it was not like that. Even the greatest of the kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir, even Lord Ramachandra, who is the personality of Godhead himself, he is the Maryada Purushottam himself. He was very, very careful on how he was honoring the Brahmins. Vasishtha Muni was offered his own throne. Vishwamutra Muni was offered his own throne. Lord Ramachandra used to wash the lotus feet of the Brahmanas. And so did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like this, the Brahmanas were the head or the guide of the society. Not that they would be working like Shudras for the society. So unfortunately, we are all Brahmins. So in this particular age, the solution that was given and was brilliantly coined and was by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. I know some of you are who are in ISKCON obviously know that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is the divine guru, the initiating spiritual master of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And it was his desire to establish the Devi Varnashram. I will go a little bit in a little more detail because perhaps this will give a little bit of an idea, because the discussion right now is based on Tene Brahma, Hrida Adi Kavaye, how spiritual knowledge is imparted within the heart of the devotee. And in this case, the devotee is Lord Brahma. And so it is imparted through the proper parampara. One who has obtained the information, the Vedic information of Brahma Gyan as it is qualified to give it as it is. Otherwise, he will end up cheating somebody, cheating himself, and also cheating others. The cheaters and the cheaters, Srila Prabhupada said that. So it was so important that Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Prabhupada, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his divine father, when he came to this world, the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was almost had become extinct. There are people, Vaishnavas, there were very few Vaishnavas who were practicing Vaishnavism behind closed doors. And most of the people had become either atheists or they had become Shaktas and Shaivites, those who are the followers of Shakti, especially in West Bengal. And at that time, it had become very important to re-establish the principles of pure Vaishnavism as per the desires of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the teachings of the Goswamis of Vrindavan, who are the Siksha disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in perfect and disciplic succession. So it's understanding the heart of his father, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. People, the Smartha Brahmanas were there. They were sometimes even drinking tobacco. They were smoking tobacco, chewing tobacco. And even today, so many so-called Brahmanas, if you see some of them that we call in our homes, when we have the different, what you call, samskaras that we do, either in Graha Pravesh or some kind of a Satyanarayan Katha, and all these Karmakandi Brahmins, we have seen so many of them. They are addicted to chewing tobacco. They cannot, they always have some gutka shoved in their mouths, and they're speaking mantras and they're conducting Vedic ceremonies and marriages. This is completely not true. And just because they were born of Brahman parents, they got the authority to become Brahmins, which is completely against what Krishna says. He says that it is according to the Chaturvanya Maya system. It's guna, karma, vibhagasha, according to the qualities. So somebody who might be born a Shudra, or somebody who may be born in a very low family, but if that person takes to Krishna consciousness and he develops nice Brahmanical Vaishnava qualities, then that person is a Brahmin. That is the reason an officiating ceremony of Brahman initiation was given, was explained by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his Daivi Varnashram system, because there was a lot of criticism even back during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time. Just even after after he left, Narottam Das Thakur was from a caste, from a sort of a lower class. If you see from Bangladesh, he was from Keturi Gram, but he was of such a high caliber Vaishnava that great Vaishnavas used to fall down at his lotus feet. And he is none other than one of the Manjaris in the Seva of Radharani in Nitya Golok Dham. And so the thing is that Narottam Das Thakur was envied by the Smartha Brahmins. By Smartha Brahmins mean those Brahmins who are born by birth but not by activity, not by their own activity. They became completely envious that such persons, if like Narottam Das Thakur is giving Diksha, and he's making Vaishnavas, and he's giving Diksha to everyone. He's not giving only Diksha to the Brahmin class, but he's also giving Diksha to anybody who comes to him who wants to take Harinam Diksha, and he gives Diksha, he gives the initiation. So then they went and complained to, I think it was Raja Virambhir at that time. And Raja Virambhir was engaged one great scholar trying to defeat Narottam Das Thakur, and that was the whole idea, that if he was defeated in a scholarly debate on Vedic scriptures, then Narottam Das would have to give up his position as a guru, and he would have to stop initiating, which these unscrupulous or these rascal so-called Brahmins wanted. So anyways, to make a long story short, a big scholar was involved in it, and then that scholar was defeated by the disciples of Narottam Das Thakur. It's another story, but the point being that even today we see in many, many dhams and many, many places that because they are born of Brahmin fathers and mothers, they want that name and fame, and they want that padvi, or they want that status, that everybody should bow down to them and they can do whatever they please. So this is not what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur accepted. So he started the Devi Varnashram system when he saw and he recognized that anybody who is taking Shuddha Harinam and who is qualified enough, then he started giving the Janoi or the Brahman Diksha. Although he may be born to Shudra parents or born to the Vaishya parents or born in any class of parents, and even if that person may be born in a Malecha family, in a dog eater, Chandal family, if that person by sanskar took to the proper process and cleansed himself internally, Om Pavitra Pavitra Va Sarvavastha Gata Gatopi Va Yasmareta Pundrikaksham Sabhayar Antarabhivi Suchihi. All these Brahmins say this mantra in the beginning, whether it is a wedding ceremony or it is some kind of Satyanarayan Katha when they are doing the Achaman. Om Shri Keshavaya Namaha, Om Shri Narayana Namaha, Om Shri Madhvaya Namaha, Om Apavitra Pavitrava Sarvavastha Gatopiva Yasmareta Pundrikaksham Sabhayar Antarabhyamihi Suchihi Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. So do they really believe in this mantra? The same mantra that they are reciting. Om Pavitra Pavitra Gatopiva. Whether one is purified or unpurified. Gatopiva. Wherever that person is situated in whatever situation of life. Sarvapavastha Gatopiva. In whatever situation that person is, whether born in a Brahmin or born in a Shudra or a Kshatriya or whatever birth that Sarvavastha Gatopiva Yas Maret, one who remembers Pundrikaksham, the one beautiful lotus-eyed Sri Krishna. Yas Mareta Pundrikaksham Sa Bahya, externally, Antarabhya, internally, Suchihi is purified. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. 3 times they recite the name of Shri Vishnu. So before a yajna, before some kind of a ceremony, they recite this mantra so that everybody will be purified. So if one believes in this, that is called Sri Krishna Sankirtan. One believes in that and one takes to the Sankirtan process under a bona fide Guru, Tene Brahma, Hriday Adi Kavaye. When one takes to this process under a bona fide spiritual master, then one is Bahya Antarabhyavi Suchibihi. He becomes qualified for purification, and once he is going through the purificatory process of internal purification and external process, then he is certainly qualified to become a Brahman and a Vaishnava, and certainly qualified to go on the altar and serve the deities. Because of that, the serving of the deities, even such great Vaishnavas like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur were criticized. That is the reason that Devi Varnashram system was set up based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. They were given the Janoi or the Upanayan Sanskar, the Brahmanical thread, and then they were given all the guidance as per the Pancharatrika Vidhi, that Brahmin, the deity worship is done, and they were guided, and then they go on the altar and serve. So today we go and see in ISKCON, we have all different kinds of persons from all backgrounds, some white, some black, some Chinese, some Oriental, Indian, everybody, whatever body they may be, but if they have through the proper parampara system have received the Brahmanical thread and the Harinam, the most important of the Tene Brahma, the Brahma Gyan is the Harinam Diksha, or the first initiation. The second initiation is not as important as the first, because first initiation actually is sufficient enough, Prabhupada said, to take them back home to Godhead. Second initiation is for those who are inclined to do deity worship. They want to go on the altar and they want to do seva. They want to do the different services like offering bhog to pran pratishtha deities, or offering them artik, offering them the dhoop, the deep. They want to offer them abhishek, and then all the other Shoda upchars, the different kinds of 16 worships and offering items, then one has to then respect that ashram of Brahmanical and qualify for it and take the Brahmanical thread. So Srila Prabhupada followed in the Guru Maharaj's footsteps, and he gave so we who have received the Gayatri mantras, we have got 7 Gayatris we explained. It is not that the Om Bhur Bhuvasva Tatsavitur Varenyam that most people in India that they sing at any time, at any as and when they feel they can sing that. No, that is not proper. The Gayatri is to be sung according to rules and regulations. And it is for strict rules and regulations. It is for when the Trikal Sandhya happens. It is not whimsically that one can just put the tape recorder 24 hours Om Bhur Bhuvasva that you see in the different dhams, and they put that and they're selling their CDs and records just to attract the people, and they keep on. No. It is according to the rules and regulations, perfect early in the morning in Brahma Murat, before the sun rises. That is one Sandhya. From the night to the morning, when the confluence happens, it is called the first Sandhya. The second Sandhya is the from morning to afternoon confluence, which is around mid or noon time, 12 to 12:30. And then when the confluence of the afternoon to the night transits, when the Surya Asta happens, sunset time, that is the third, what we call as the third confluence of the day, the third Sandhya. So there are 3 Sandhyas in a day, Trikad Sandhya. So Gayatri Mantra has to be chanted according to the rules and regulations. Actually, real Brahmanas who are strictly following should take 3 baths. And after taking a bath, after doing achaman, before sitting down for any kind of prasadam or breaking any kind of fast early in the morning also, they should chant these Gayatris. And there are, in the Pancharatrika Vidhi, coming in the Brahmavata Gaudiya Sampradaya, we have 7 Gayatris. One Gayatri that I explained to you, because most people know in the light of the Gurus, of the Gaudiya Acharyas, which is Krishna himself, but more commonly known as Surya Dev, and Surya's energy, because Surya is also considered as the king of all planets. Ya Chakshur, Savitu, Sakala, Raja, Samasta, Murti, Ashesha Tejaha. So he is the king of all the planets. If even in astrological terms, one whose Surya is very powerful, one whose sun is very powerful, other planets cannot do any damage. Supposing if some other planets are weak, somebody Saturn can be weak, or Mangal, Venus can be weak, or some other planets like Chandra, etc. can be weak. But if their Surya is extremely powerful, none of the other planets could, because Surya is the king of all planets. That is so the metaphor in this particular Gayatri is Surya, the sun. But actual Surya is Sri Krishna, and that is revealed only to the pure devotees. Therefore, they explain the first. So there are couple other Guru Gayatris. There is 2 Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Gayatris, and there are 2 Krishna Gayatris, which are a combination of Radha and Krishna Gayatris. So these are the different 7 Gayatris that we chant on a regular basis. Especially those who are serving on the altar, they must chant that very strictly to follow the norms. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada was also criticized by many people, even in India, that, oh, he's giving this, letting all these Malechas who are eating meat or drinking wine and meat, and they were going on the altar, but they have been qualified enough. And these persons, those who criticize them for those kala dholas, those firangis going on the altar, examine your own activities. Are you drinking tea and coffee? Yes, you are drinking tea and coffee. These people are not even touching tea and coffee. So they have qualified. Maybe they were eating meat in the past. Maybe they were drinking wine. Maybe they were womanizing. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of the pure Guru, they have a right, because the jiva belongs to Krishna. He doesn't belong to a particular community or doesn't belong to a particular body. He belongs to Sri Krishna. Mamayamsha jiva bhuta jiva loka sanatana. This jiva is eternal and it is a part and parcel of Krishna. So Krishna has a right to reclaim that jiva through his proper representative, bona fide representative. So Tene Brahma Rida Adi Kavai. Very, very important. Again, I'm expounding more on this line of Tene Brahma Rida Adi Kavai. Of course, I even discussed last time the Muhyanti Surya, but since more points are manifesting within our hearts. I'm thinking of giving all this information in detail so that we will never make that mistake of any kind of of, uh, of committing any offenses, thinking that we are better. And when we start thinking like that, muhyanti yatsuraya, the next two words that are there in this verse. So tene brahma hridaya adikave, Krishna imparted this special knowledge of Gayatri through, and especially through the Kam Gayatri mantra, he was given the complete glimpse of Golok Vrindavan, where how Krishna expands himself, how Krishna, who is the Sri Akantaha Kantaha Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Druma Bhumis Chintamani. He is the loving, the only, the Kanta Parama Purusha, served by many gopis. Lakshmi Sahasrasata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Getting a full glimpse of Golok Vrindavan. Surbhir Abhir Palayantam. There are so many Surbhir cows that are there in Golok Vrindavan, and there are Kalpa Vrikshas, etc. So that was given Tene Brahma Hridayadi. Besides giving him the knowledge of how to recreate the material worlds, the Brahmans, the 14 planetary systems, where there are 6 heavenly planets, 7 heavenly planetary systems, 7 hellish planetary systems, and in between the earthly planetary system. So all these things, Trene Brahma, Hridaya Adhika. So we have to be very fortunate to receive this information in Parampara. Otherwise, we will be lost. So many big speakers who are making crores and millions of dollars sitting on the Vyasas and speaking Ramayana, speaking Bhagavad Katha. Unfortunately, they have never received this information through the bona fide Sampradaya. They have studied the Bhagavatam, they have some or the other studied the scriptures, they have got good memories and have good oratory power. So they are able to, do lokaranjanam. Unfortunately, I have to use this word. Lokaranjanam means one who entertains the public. One who entertains the public. But one who can never impart Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavai. Just like how Krishna imparted this pure spiritual knowledge to the heart of Lord Brahma, they can never able to impart that into the listeners because their lifestyle is such. Recently, we heard about one great Ramayana speaker. From childhood, we have been listening to him too. And he has been speaking Ramayana at least for the last 45, 50 years. And unfortunately, he never came in any Bhagavad Parampara. He never came in any kind of disciplic succession. And he committed offenses. And he started speaking without understanding why Krishna's pastimes are the way they are. He started making a statement openly amongst lakhs of people on the Vyasasan. Sitting there, he said that, what can I say about Krishna and Balram? They were drunkards, and their whole kul, the Yadukul, they were drunkards. They destroyed the entire Yadukul by drinking liquor, and their women were not also protected. What can I say? I do not even have the words to describe how fallen the Yadukul people were, the Yadus were. That their women were also not protected. These are the kinds of things he said. And then finally he said, I'm very sorry. I should not have said that. No, that sorry doesn't mean anything. That offense has been committed to Vaishnavas. It has been committed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You speak something because you have not understood. That Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you have not even a Bhagavad Gita is like the most basic of spiritual science. What to talk about the higher nuances of Srimad-Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavata, the Shadasandarbhas, Bhagavad Laghu Amrita, and so many other Vaishnava books that have been compiled by these Rasik Vaishnava Acharyas. We are not qualified to hear those because we have not even understood the basics of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Janma Karma Cheme Divyam. My birth, my appearance, karma, my activities are divyam. Jo veti tatvatah tatva punarjanmaneti mameti swarjuna. Bhagavad Gita, very basic. Those who have simply understood this, forget about doing any austerities, forget about any tapasya, forget about any jap, forget about any tap, forget about reading anything else. Just by having 100% conviction, 100% conviction that Janma Karma Cheme Divyam, whatever my appearance, my activities are Divya. Krishna says, one who has understood that fully, tatva punarjanmaneti mameti so Arjuna. He will never be reborn again in this material world, and he will come back home, back to Godhead, into the spiritual world, into the Vaikuntha Loka. But do we have that faith? Great speakers of Ramayana like this, big names charging 5 crores, 10 crores, who spend like maybe 10 crores in his daughter's wedding. Somebody who was supposed to be of Brahmanical nature, who's rather the true nature of a Brahmin is to accept charity and to give charity. We have so many wonderful Vaishnavas who have got that Brahminical qualities. Our Radha Govinda Maharaj Ji, one I cannot but to stop thinking of. Personally, I've served him and I've seen him, and he's such a great Vaishnava in our movement. In our movement, he's one of the most radiant jewels. So many people give him so much money. You think he doesn't get money? But how simple his clothes are. He doesn't keep anything. I have seen with my own eyes give money to his own poor disciples. And he has no attraction to name and fame. He goes to the villages of Bihar and UP, and he spends money out of his own pocket to preach Bhagavatam. The people from the West who are his disciples generously give the Guru. Sometimes they give him $100, sometimes they give him $1,000, sometimes they give him $5,000, sometimes hundreds and thousands of dollars he's getting in Guru Dakshina. At least when he used to come to the West. Nowadays his health is not so good, he's in Vrindavan. But he never kept one penny for himself. Whenever he got all that money, he used to actually give 50% or more to the temple where he gave Katha. Even though he was giving Katha in some disciple's house. Because in a disciple's house, when there is Hari Katha, many Vaishnavas come, many people come to hear Katha, and at the end of the Katha, they give some Dakshina out of their heart. All those dollars I see, he used to tell, take this and give it to the temple, to the local temple. And anytime he got money, he used to spend to all where the poor people could not afford the big pandals, where they required all those canopies and fans, because it is so hot in India. You have to involve some kind of a decorator, some caterer to cook after every day Bhagavad Katha Prasadam for thousands, tens of thousands of people. Where is the money coming from? In the poor places, that money, Radha Govind Maharaj Ji, whatever he received, he gave. That is a real Brahman, that is a real Vaishnava. Not to just to take, and build big ashrams and big hotels and dharamshalas and make more money, make a business. Shame on all those people. Yes, Krishna takes care of his Brahmins, 110%. Kidi ne karn and hati ne man. Krishna said in Gujarati, it is said that even a small ant gets a karn, a little particle of food. Krishna is so kind. He manages to give. They don't have to go to office or to go to work 9 to 5 to earn their Monday to Friday paycheck. Kidi ne karn and hati ne man. And kilos and kilos of food is provided to the big elephant. Hati ne man. Man is a measurement. I think man is 20 kilos. So like that, everybody is getting. But we are of greedy nature. We want to use our janam. That is why Mahaprabhu said, na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavita vana jagdish kamai. Mama janmani ishware bhavatat bhaktir ahituki tvai. Not dhanam, not interested in money. Not janam, not interested in any kind of followers. If these followers come, they are yours, O Krishna. They are yours, O Gurudev. They are not mine. That is proper vairagya. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Not attracted to the opposite sex. Kavitava. Nor am attracted to the different. Wow. Wonderful, huh? You have spoken so nicely. You are singing so nicely. You are doing so wonderful seva. That is called kavita. Where people praise you. I'm not interested. That is the quality of a pure devotee. Then what are you interested, my dear sir? What are you interested in? Mama janmani ishware. Birth after birth after birth. Oh my dear Lord Krishna. Bhavatat bhaktir ahituki tvai. your causeless and ahetuki bhakti without any material motive. Hetu means material motive. In Hindi we say, kis hetu se aap yahan aaye? What is the purpose of your coming? Generally, when we go somewhere, then we have some purpose, some material purpose. Either we want some money, or we want something, or we want some help. So there is a hetu, a haituki, which Srimad-Bhagavatam, as we are going to be further studying, Bhagavatam, one of the verses, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhoksaje. How? Ahaituki apratiyata jena atma suprasidati. Ahaituki bhakti, without any material motivation. Janmani Janmani Ishware Bhavata. I would like to receive Ahaituki bhakti without any material motive to conduct pure transcendental loving service to Sri Krishna, to Radha Krishna. That is Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. That is what Lord Brahma received, and that is what he passed on to Naradji. Naradji manifests this Tene Brahma in the heart of Vyasadeva in the form of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Who is also a Kavi? Vyasadeva, what a Kavi! Can you believe? Nowadays, the compositions that are written by even by the best of the singers, whether it is the best of the poets in Bengal, like Rabindranath Tagore, etc., their poetry is considered to be the best. It is nothing, not even a drop of the compositions of all these Kavis, these Vaishnava Kavis. Just see, if you study any verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it can be sung in so many different meters. Well, Ravindra Sangeet has to be sung only in 1 meter, only in 1 rag, as an example. But Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, so many different ways. You can even actually, you try to put anyone in the Bollywood so-called songs that are there. Vyasadev's composition is amazing. Take one verse of Vyasadeva and try to superimpose it on any Bollywood song. Most of them, it will go. That is a composition that in any rag, any way it can be sung. Because in any way, Jare dekho tare kaho, Krishna updesh, sing the glories of Sri Krishna. It's amazing. Gopi Geet, Jayati te adhikam, Janma navraja, ja. It's amazing. Examine the Gopi Geet. Those who are interested to further go. Sharadodasaye sadhu jata sa. Like that. His amazing composition. So Vyasadeva is also a great Kavi. And that Kavi was imparted, Srimad Bhagavatam, by Naradji. And in that parampara, from Vyasadeva to Madhvacharya, it came down to Madhvendra Puripad, Ishwar Puripad, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Shada Goswamis of Vrindavan, came down to Sri Narottam Das Thakur, and Vishwanath Chakravartipad, Baldev Vidyabhushan, to Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakurji, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakurji, Srila Gaur Krishna Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada, 32nd in line, as it is. That is what we pride in. One time Srila Prabhupada, after coming back on one of his visits from the West, Indira Gandhi, the Prime Minister of India, Prabhupada had a meeting, and Mrs. Gandhi praised Prabhupada. Swamiji, aapne kamal kar diya. You've done wonderful. You have actually preached Hinduism on all over the world. You have preached the name of Krishna. Prabhupada very humbly, and he meant every word what he said, that actually I've not done much, but if any credit has to be given to us, our credit is that we spoke everything as it is, that came in the parampara, taught by the gurus. Just like a postman, he gives an example of a postman. When a postman goes to a village where most of the people are uneducated, and when he knocks on the door and the person opens and he's giving a letter, the person says, Bhaiya, Dakiya, oh my dear postman, please read this message for me. And the postman will open it. Standing at the door, he will start reading the message. Sometimes the message is good. Oh, this letter is from your brother. It is coming from Bombay, and the brother has sent greetings saying that a new baby boy is born, and everybody's happy and dancing when they hear that news read by the postman. The next house he goes, and he opens another letter. Bhaiya padke do, please read this. And he opens, and then he says, I'm sorry to tell you that I have very bad news for you, that your brother has passed away. And then everybody's crying, listening to that news. So the job of the postman is to read that letter as it is, a bona fide postman. So that is what Prabhupada said. That is our only credit. And that is so important. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kave, why I'm somehow the other stuck on these two lines here, along with the other two, which I explained last time, is that the importance of the parampara. Just don't get enamored by the number of people attending Katha and by the music and the shore and all the different kinds of all the different kinds of decorations and all what can I say, show and pomp. That is not Srimad-Bhagavatam. That is not Hari Katha. It can be ear pleasing, but it will not be soul pleasing. The reason is, what is the result? It's the same people attending the Katha year after year, same business people, same people from the society. But have they been able to even given up their onion garlic? Have they been able to given up their liquor drinking? अरे वो तो चलता है यार, once in a while संडे को क्लब में जाते हैं तब थोड़ी सी लगा लेते हैं. स्वामी जी को भी मालूम है. So what? Once in a week I go to the club with my friends and I have a little beer. Even Swami ji, my guru, knows that. What kind of spirituality is that? Cheaters and the cheated. And this is where the society is today. Chamatkar ko namaskar. Because that person is famous, he's got so much money. The more money he demands, the more he is in demand. But what happens? Same person's coming every day. Whether we know this one particular Raman Kathakar used to come to Ohio every year. Huge, all over United States and Canada, people used to travel. All the motels were full. A huge millions and millions of dollars was spent in that pandal and musicians, and that Bapu was given so much, millions and millions of dollars in pranami. But looking at that, it's the same lifestyle. They've not been able to, all these Gujaratis, Patels, etc., who hosted, they're still chewing their Zarda, Baba 420, their masala pan, their gutka. And they cannot even sit in Bapu's Katha for 20 minutes continuously because they have to go out and spit out what they have in their mouth and put a replenish new supply in the mouth. So it is not soul pleasing, it is ear pleasing. It's okay. Some kind of sukriti will be granted by hearing that katha, but the utmost or the topmost result will not be granted. That won't be Tene Brahma Hridaya. That spiritual knowledge was never received by them, and they are trying to give. How can you give something which you have not received? It can be just literary words, but Sri Krishna is not manifest in that. Lord Ramachandra is not manifested in those verses of Ramayana. Whereas as far as we know, every word of the Srimad-Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna, it is Sri Radharani. When that prem and when that motive to serve happens, then that effect of Bhagavat or that Katha has manifest. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kave Muhyanti Yat Suraya. And so many people are put into delusion. Sura means the demigods, the Devi Devtas. Last time we explained, even Shankar Mahadev was bewildered by the Mohini Swarup. Lord Indra, the king of heaven, the king of Suras, of the demigods, of the Devi Devtas. That is why he's called Indra. Indra means king. King of what? When they say Indra of the heavens, that means he's the king of all the demigods. Where do the demigods or the Devi Devtas reside? They reside in all the different heavenly planets. And Indra means he is the king. Even the king of the demigods is Muhyanti. He showers rain on who? On Twadiyas, the most intimate servants of Sri Krishna, the lovers of Sri Krishna, the Vrajvasis. He wants to destroy them. So much Muhyanti, so much illusion, so much animosity towards a 7-year-old boy who everybody recognizes as the Supreme Lord. He says, I will show him a lesson. I will show all these Vrajvasis a lesson. How dare they stop my Indra Yagya? Thunderbolts, torrential rain, the Shamantak Badal, etc., etc. Muhyanti put him into a lot of, he became perplexed, illusioned. Yatsuraya. This is Krishna's Maya. So powerful she is. Brahmaji, we explained about the Brahma Vimohan Leela, the how he was delusioned and he stole the cows and the coward boys of Krishna because Krishna was fighting over a half piece of laddu stuck in the mouth of Madhumangal. Is this God? He is eating somebody's half-eaten laddu and that trying to grab it out of his mouth? And he wants to fight over half a piece of laddu? What kind of God he is? Muhyanti Yatsuraya. Put into illusion. Every day we are in illusion. Most of us who have taken to spirituality, please beware. And we gave you the example, so many examples there of Giriraj Swami, one of Srila Prabhupada's leading disciples in Bombay at that time, originally from California, from Chicago. I take that back, yes. And then he moved to California. He said, Swamiji, Prabhupada-ji, sometimes we are in Maya. Prabhupada looked at him straight. Sometimes you are always in Maya. Don't think sometimes. And Giriraj Swami then writes, he is already a sannyasi. The whole world came crashing on me when Prabhupada said that we are always in Maya. My pride was smashed. Don't think for a moment. Even those of us, we may be initiated. We may be in the movement for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. We may have some big post, temple president, secretary, treasurer, this, that, serving great leaders in ISKCON or here and there. For not one moment we should forget that we are always under the control of Maya. If we remain humble, we will remain protected. Otherwise, why? Sannyasis will fall down. They are speaking big katha. They used to speak big katha. They knew the tattva, not that they don't know the philosophy. And then they got attracted by some nice looking woman attending that katha. Sometimes that woman happened to be own initiated disciple. And then finish. Sannyas dress given up, get married, settle down, make money. Muhyanti Yatsuraya. How many cases are like that? So all of us are warned, regardless of what stage of spiritual life we are in. Don't take this Maya lightly. That's what Krishna is trying to, Vyasdev is trying to point out in these two words. Muhyanti Yatsuraya. The greatest of the greatest Bapus get bewildered and call Krishna drunkard, Balrama drunkard, his associates and his parsads drunkards. Muhyanti Yatsuraya. All that Ramayana that he studied from childhood and all this Ramcharitra that he has mukhas of no use. As a matter of fact, offense, aparad, anasar. Because anytime we get a little bit of puffiness in us, that time Krishna says he must be learned, this person must be given a lesson. We've had that practically. Some of you who are from Chicago temple, we have seen a certain person who was so proud. His wife was so proud. This temple will never run without us. This temple doors will be closed if my husband is not the president. And they called the brahmacharis, the poor people who came from India, kutta, dogs. You think Krishna is going to listen to that? Then what happened? The rest is history. Humiliated. He got attached to some Firangi woman. That great position of presidentship was taken away. He cheated the temple from millions and millions of dollars. He used to park his own money from his business, taking receipts for tax purposes that I have donated $600,000. And then he would show the government that I will not be taxed on this 600 because that was a donation. And from the backyard, he used to take that money back once the tax return was filed. All this came to light. Der hai, lekin andher nahi hai. In Krishna's, sometimes we see, sometimes even my own family members ask me that why Krishna is so kind to those people who are doing all the wrong things in the world. They got so much wealth, they got so much fame, they got everything that they want. And I always tell her, and I remind myself, Krishna is kind. Don't take his kindness as his murkta, that he's stupid. He gives a chance to every one of us to rectify our mistakes. Like Shishupal was given 99 chances. But when there comes a time, then he will put his foot down. This is today's world. Cheaters and the cheated. Muhyanti yat surya. Spiritual life is like walking on a straight-edged sword which is extremely sharp. Please remember that. Just because we have started learning a few verses, doing some japa, we feel better than the other person. Just because we get initiation, now I'm initiated. What is this initiation? Look up the Oxford Dictionary, my dear friend. Initiation means the beginning of a spiritual life is begun by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada through the proper sampradaya to get initiated. We are not disciples if we cannot follow the instruction of the Guru strictly, the Acharya strictly. We are simply initiated. Prabhupada said, those are not my disciples. Disciples are those who follow my instructions. Tene Brahma Hridayadi kahe muhyanti yat surya. He bewilders the best of the best. What to talk about us? As Krishna says very clearly, the only way you can cross over this maya, je ma prapadyante maya tarantite, maya durattaya. This maya of mind, this illusory energy of mind known as maya, is durattaya, extremely difficult to surmount, extremely difficult to cross. Durattaya. Je mam prapadyante, one who surrenders unto me, maya tarantite, one will be able to cross over maya. Tene brahma hridaya adika muhyanti yasuraya. Tejo vari mrudam yatha vinimayo. The next 3 words. There are 3 elements in this world, or 3 kinds of creations, 3 sarga, that we are able to see. It is explained that Teja means fire, Vari means water, and Mrida means earth. Now here, if we go into a little bit deeper, Teja refers to Sri Krishna. Sometimes we see that when 2 sticks are rubbed together by striking a match or by friction, fire is actually existing, it is there. But it is manifest. A match manifests fire and makes it visible. After some time, when the fuel is finished, fire is no longer seen. We cannot see it anymore. Tejo. Similarly, Krishna can be seen by one who practices certain processes. And the soul can only be seen in this way. Mother Kunti, in this very first canto, 8th chapter, she says, Namasya Purushamadyam Ishvara Prakrite Param Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam Antar Bahir Avastitam. This Sri Krishna, I offer you my humble obeisances. Why? Because you are Purusha Adyam, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachit Ananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. You are the cause of all causes. So, although you are situated everywhere, in the heart of everyone and even outside, Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam, everybody is not able to see you. That is what this point is here also. That Krishna is there within your heart, in my heart, but can we see him? He is in the heart of that pet dog that we have at home, or that cat. Can we see him? We cannot. He is Alaksham Sarva Bhutana. And that is what it is, Muhyanti Surya. So similarly, fire is there everywhere, but can we see it? No, there is a process. And when that process is achieved, then we are able to see Sri Krishna, or the real fire. Similarly, Krishna can be seen by one who practices the process of bhakti, and the soul can also, then the soul also can be seen. One can realize who they are. Otherwise, the soul will never be seen by mortal eyes, and it can never be realized by material senses. The jivas are compared to vari, or like water. When water is solidified due to lower temperatures, it becomes like ice or snow. And it can become so hard that if it is thrown at someone, it can hurt someone, because its state is changed from liquidity to solid state. Similarly, in the jiva's natural position is Swarup, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishnir Nityadas. That is the natural position, but because of the illusion of Maya, the nature of the jiva is covered. The natural position is covered, and by chance now he has forgotten his relationship with Krishna, and he has solidified into he has transformed his consciousness by thinking that I am this body. And all kinds of problems arise, such as quarrels with others, etc., misunderstandings, misgivings, etc. That is all because of this Dehatma Buddhi. I am thinking I am Hindu. Why this Muslim has come here? I am thinking I am Indian. Why China has transgressed on this border? Or this is India, etc. Yes, of course, from the practical purpose, we are not saying that, no. But one who is highly realized never sees these boundaries. They all see that they are Jair Sarupai Krishna Nityadas. Everything belongs to Krishna. Whether it is Nepal, Bhutan, China, India, Sri Lanka, Asia, Europe Khand, American continent, this Jambu Dweep, this Brahman, millions of Brahmans, they all belong to Krishna. Ishavasam idam sarvam. Everything belongs to Sri Krishna. In the Isopanishad, the very first verse, Ishavasam idam sarvam. Everything belongs to Sri Krishna, and everything is the place of residence of Krishna, because he is present everywhere. So, because of that covering of the illusion, there's a transformation of the consciousness. And next is Mrida, earth. In this world, there are many kinds of pots that are made of earth, but all are made of mud with earth. Ultimately, there is no difference in one sense. So the tea cup saucer that people have, or the kettle they have, or the plate that they have, the china plate, or the tiles that they are using in the bathroom, or the tiles that are using in the garden, or the tiles that are using to decorate the fireplace, they're all made from earth. The bricks that are building the house is made from earth. It's a transformation, mrida. So some are called glasses in the form of a glass, some are called pots, some are called vessels, some are called mud, earth. Ultimately, there is no difference between them. Only the name is different. This is also true, for example, for gold. A cup is made of gold. It is also called gold. A garment or a sari that is made of pure gold, jari sari, is also gold sari. Necklace is also made of gold. Ring is also made of gold. They're all different names, but ultimately, what is it? It is gold. So, yatha vinimayo, yatra trisargo amrusha. Yatha vinimayo means the interaction, just like in a lab, when those who have studied chemistry, I know we have one Dr. Anup here, who is a chemical engineer, and I remembered the organic chemistry from my from days back in college, and the different experiments that we did. So when we added a particular element in another element, there was an interaction. Like sometimes we used to, I remember in our childhood experiment, one of the experiments with some friends, we were in the 5th grade at that time, and we always used to collect the batteries, the old batteries that were cast away, and we used to break them open, take out all the masala from it, all the ingredients, and the outer body was made of zinc. And then we went to the local grocery store and bought some hydrochloric acid that our servants used to use to clean the bathroom in India. They used to buy the hydrochloric. It is all very freely available. It is not controlled like here in the West, that you need a permit and this and that. You can buy all the acids. In fact, we had an acid shop right around the corner where I used to stay. And every day when I used to come from school, I could feel the different pungent smells. I could smell sulfuric acid. I could smell nitric acid because it had a peculiar smell, hydrochloric acid, etc. So then what we used to do is we wanted to create some kind of a experimental bomb, create hydrogen. So what we did is we took that zinc from that battery and we bought that hydrochloric acid, and we took one of the dabbas, the dalda ghee dabba, the dabba that mummy used to have buy ghee from, and then that empty dabba that was stored sometimes out of the house. We poured that acid in it, and we poured that zinc from the batteries, shut it, and we created one little pinhole, and the gas started emanating. And then we put a little match and the whole thing would explode, and then we would have fun. So tejo vari mrudam yatha vinimayo. Yatha vinimayo means the interaction of the material elements. There are so many different elements that interact with each other. Just like the material modes of nature, they interact. Somebody who is sitting very calmly and nicely, and suddenly somebody else comes in the room and starts speaking absurd things, bad things, insulting things. So this person who is in the mode of goodness, who is shanta, suddenly gets upset hearing the nonsense that the other person is speaking. And he also inhibits the same qualities of the other person of cursing. He says, you are like this. No, you are like that. He says, you are like, no, you are like that. Oh, you are nothing. Oh, you are nothing. You get out of my house. So that is the interaction of the modes of material nature. The tamogun and rajogun has seeped inside the satogun. The interactions of modes of material nature. Everything in this material world is comprised of these three gunas. Either it is in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, or mode of goodness, or a permutation combination of all these three. So the interaction, for example, I will make it simple by giving good examples. Let's talk about some basic materials like cotton. Cotton is considered in the mode of goodness. That is why sadhus, they always wear cotton. Even those who are doing DT seva, they will always wear cotton, because cotton is considered in the mode of goodness. And then the next better mode of goodness, silk is permitted on the altar, because silk is also considered in the mode of goodness. But Terylene or any other polyester materials are not are prohibited in any yajna or any kind of puja, because they are in the mode of passion and mode of ignorance. Foodstuffs, meat is completely in the mode of ignorance. Please try to understand this, the interactions. When somebody who is a meat eater, what is that person doing? Is interacting directly with the mode of ignorance. How is that person interacting with the mode of ignorance? Because that person is eating an animal, a dead animal, whatever that animal is. That person is actually associating with that animal by consuming that animal's remnants. And what are those remnants? While that animal was living, the animal left a complete life of mode of ignorance or a tamoguni. And what are if you read Bhagavad Gita, it is there in the chapter 18, the foods that are there in the mode of ignorance, etc., the mode of passion, the mode of goodness, charity in the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance. So similarly, the foodstuffs. So that animal, that one who is consuming, actually it eats in the same place, it passes urine and stool in the same place where it is eating. So that is dirtiness. Dirtiness is one of the qualities of the mode of ignorance or tamogun. One of other symptoms of tamogun is having uncontrolled sex, especially outside of wedlock, out of marriage. Animals don't have the concept of marriage. So we have seen that birds and animals, they give eggs, and later on, if it's a bird, another bird will come. If it's a mammal, another mammal, a little baby calf will be born. And then after a few months, that calf becomes big enough. And that bird, who is a little fledgling, becomes big enough. The same male father who gave birth, who is responsible for the birth, is having physical union with its own product, produced out of with his own child in one sense. So how ignorant is that? How ignorant is that? And especially the West is full of such kinds of mentality. Having sex out of marriage, living relationships is considered most common, and that disease has also spread to India. Nowadays we hear about movies being made and about the living relationships as most common. Parents approve it. It's not a big deal, because our guidance is not Vyasdev. Our guidance is Hollywood. Our guidance is this Western country who makes us dollars. If we don't do what they do, we are considered backward. We are considered snake charmers, saperas. This is the situation. So when we eat meat, we are interacting directly with the mode of ignorance. And in Hindi there is a proverb, Jaisa Sanga Aisa Rang. In Gujarati there is a proverb, Jeva Anna Eva Odkad. So whatever your association is, one will get the colors of that association. One will feel the interaction of that association. And therefore, those who eat meat will never be able to understand unless and until they give up the association of tamogun, including vegetarian foodstuffs that come under that category of tamogun is even onion and garlic. Those are derivatives of meat. There is a Puranic Katha that how onion and garlic came into manifestation. And onion and garlic, some people boast, especially the Chinese, it is the topmost healthy. It may be healthy for your sex life. It may boost your sex life, but is sex life the goal of human life? That is the question. Then now we are entering another philosophy. Goal of human life is athato brahma jigyasa. Tene brahma rida adi kave. Brahma, spiritual knowledge. So by simply living a life of making our sex life better, and even after getting old, buying the blue pills in the pharmacy just to enhance our sex life, that is animalistic. Ahar nidra bhai manturanchat etad naranam pashubi samana dharmena adhika visesho dharma vihina pashubi samana. Eating, sleeping, mating, having sex. Eating, sleeping, sex, and fear are the four that are common to man and animal. Dharmena adhika visesho, unless or until we cultivate the fifth function, which is dharma, dharma vihina pashubi samana, then we are as good as animals. Vyasdev, this is from Mahabharata, this shloka. So, we have to it's very important for us to understand these principles of the tamogun, rajogun, satogun, the interactions. These interactions happen once the things are mixed. There are so many interactions. How many? I mean, this whole material world is full of interactions. There is interaction in normal cooking in the kitchen. The flour is the same. Water is the same. The spices are the same. But when they are mixed in a different proportion and they're cooked at different temperatures, a different product arises. It could be puri, it could be chapati, it could be mathdi, it could be sweet puri, it could be khaja. All these things have the same main ingredients: water, flour, and flame, temperature. But it is due to different interactions, different products are created. So, we have to try to understand Srimad-Bhagavatam, some of the philosophy, through our practical experiences from the lens of our acharyas. So due to this interaction, the jiva also comes in touch with Maya, with these three modes of material nature. So there is a transformation to the consciousness of the jiva. By nature, the jiva is fully Krishna conscious. It knows its constitutional position is, I am an eternal servant of Krishna. But the moment that interaction coming into the material world and interacting with the three modes of material nature, somebody who is predominantly in the mode of goodness is sadhu-like, is very calm and peaceful. Somebody who is very, very energetic, he can do this, he can do that, he can make a business, successful within a couple of years, from nothing. And like he can achieve trophies in school. He can go participate in many games and get prizes. And he can do this and that. That is the mode of Rajogun. Creativity is a mode of Rajogun in the material world. I'm talking about creation in the material world. And Tamogun influences that same person who might be in the mode of goodness. Sometimes you'll find him in the mode of passion. And then sometimes you'll find the same person whose consciousness is covered due to mode of ignorance and behaves in that way. Anger, laziness, untruthfulness, cheating, inclination to cheat, etc. So these are the different interactions. So if we interact with Satogun, our foundation of our bhakti is laid, which is beyond Satogun. But a certain foundation is required in order to even enter pure bhakti. So one who is able to come to that platform slowly from Tamo to Rajo, Rajo to Sato, then one will come to Shuddha Sattva, which is pure bhakti. And the process of pure bhakti is slowly eradicating the Tamo Rajo gun and eventually the Sato gun that is covering the jiva. So yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo amrusha. The material universes are temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of material nature, and they appear factual. But they are not factual in the sense that they are like a mirage in a desert, considering that to be Reality means it has to, one of the definitions of Satyam is that it has to be eternal. So anything that is not eternal is not Satya. It is not truth. Truth is eternal from the highest perspective of understanding truth, not the relative truths, like the theory of relativity of Albert Einstein. Those who have studied physics will understand. Theory of relativity, example to be given in most common terms is, please try to absorb this. Supposing you have seen those big tractor trailers on the highway, very long ones, 18 wheelers. So can you imagine that there is a very long truck bed, which is perhaps say 5 miles long. And on top of that, there is a car. Or perhaps let me change that to make it even more easily understood. Let's say this truck is 1,000 miles long. To understand this example of relativity, the truth of relativity. Let's say this truck is 1,000 miles long, open bed truck, flat bed. And at the extreme end, there is a small car. And there is a driver in that car. And the driver is going to drive this 1,000 miles on this truck till the end of the truck behind the driver side. So he starts driving at 100 miles an hour. So he will reach the other end of the truck in how many hours? At 100 miles an hour. So in 100 miles per hour, he will reach it in 100 hours, right? In 100 hours, he will reach 1,000 miles, divided by 100. So he will reach it in 10 hours. Sorry, in 10 hours, from one end to another. But if the truck also is traveling, let's say the truck is traveling at 70 miles an hour, and the car on top of the truck is traveling at 100 miles an hour, what is the speed of the car? So that is what is called the theory of relativity. Relative to what? Relative to the highway, then the car is also traveling at 70 miles an hour. But if the flatbed is fixed, then it is traveling at 100 miles an hour. So truth can be relative too. Like if I make a statement that my neighbor is very rich, so somebody who will ask me, how big is the neighbor's home? How much do you think his home is worth? So I will say, Arey Baba, his home is worth $1 million. So my person who I'm talking to, internally he's laughing. In my neighborhood, the average home price is $5 million. And the top homes in my neighborhood are $20 million. So you are thinking that this $1 million home is rich? No. So like this, it's a relative term. So, but Satyam, the truth, eternal truth, is not subject to any kind of relativity. It is not subject to any change, past, present, future, or any condition. And that is the point that Vyasadeva is bringing in this particular shloka. That is the point that he is saying, that the tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo, due to the interactions of the modes of material nature, the jiva is also, consciousness is transformed. And the things in the material world, they dhamna svena sada nirasta koham, they appear to be real due to the interactions, just like a mirage is being seen on land on a very hot day. Similarly, due to the modes of interactions of material nature, due to the influence of material nature, this material world gives different results due to the consciousness, the variegated consciousness of the persons or the jivas that are there. So Krishna has said that one who comes to my spiritual world, Bhagavad Gita chapter 15:6, Yat gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Those who reach that supreme abode of mind never return to the material world. By practicing great austerities for hundreds and thousands of births, one may go to Golok Vrindavan. Since there is no Maya there, Nirasta Kuhakam, the word in this word, there is no, it is bereft of Maya, Mahamaya. The Maya that is present in this material world, that is the Tamogun, Rajogun, and Satogun, is not present. Nirasta Kuhakam. It is abnegation, not present in that spiritual world of Golok Vrindavan. And therefore there is no fall down from Golok Vrindavan. Once who goes to that spiritual world never comes back to this material world. That is what Krishna says. So some people who are of the theory that we fell down from Golok Vrindavan or from Vaikuntha is incorrect. And we all emanated from the Viraja or the Tatastha area of Mahavishnu. And due to the modes of material nature, the interaction, we fell in the material world. But once one purifies themselves and goes beyond the three modes of material nature and gets entrance into the spiritual world, that person never falls down. Tad gatva na nivartate. Krishna has promised that. So we have to understand the meaning of these words. They are so beautiful. Dhamna svena sada means Krishna's transcendental abode. There is no Maya. Only Haladini Shakti, Sandhini Shakti, Chitta Shakti are there. And Nirasta Kokam means there is no illusion. So today we studied Dham, that we kind of revised the parts, especially of the verse where Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Suraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo, the interactions of the three different elements, or the Pancha Mahabhuta, which is the representation of these three major elements in this material world, which also represents the three modes of material nature, Tamogun, Rajogun, and Satogun. That because of that, this illusion is created, and that also deludes even the greatest of the demigods. Muyanti Yat Surya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo, by their interaction. Yatra Tri Sargo Amrusha. That is the reason that it is Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kohakam. That Dham, that Golok Vrindavan, Svena Sada Nirasta Kohakam, where there is no Maya. There is a Maya, but that is Yog Maya, and we had explained Yog Maya is completely different from Mahamaya, and that is the Maya. Yog Maya actually connects to Sri Krishna, doesn't drive you away from Krishna. She is the one who makes different arrangements to enhance the rasas of Krishna, the relationships between the devotee of and Sri Krishna and Radha Krishna. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Vrajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar is Param Satya, the supreme truth. Dhimahi. I meditate on him. That Vrajendra Nandan, Nandan, Yashoda Nandan. So this is the external meaning of this shloka of Janmadiyasya Yatoanvaya Ditartascha Artheshva Bhigya Swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Surya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trushargo Amrusha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. This is what this particular verse, in 4 sessions we have understood. We have tried to understand the sadharan, or the simple meaning of this verse. Next week we will try to dive deep into the internal meaning of this Janmadiyasya verse, which is the rasic meaning, and we will try to dive deep into it. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Gauranga. All glories to Grantraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Satyam Param धीमहि. Hare